friends, welcome back to Farm Girl Diaries. My name is Caitlin, and this video is actually coming out before some other videos that I want to put out. I did a couple of two videos on reorganizing my basement. So if you follow me on Instagram or you've been in my basement before, you know this is not normally how my pantry looks. So I did reorganize it, and my intention was to put those videos out first before this one, and I just ran out of time. So this video is actually in regards to something that starts January 1st. So I wanted to make sure I got this video out first. So January 1st is New Year's Day, start of the new year, but it's also the official start date of Three Rivers Homestead Challenge. So if you're not familiar, Three Rivers Homestead is a homestead. They have a YouTube, they have an Instagram, but she does a challenge every single year where you only eat from your pantry stores. And it's to encourage you, number one, to eat from what you have, learn these new recipes, be more creative, but then also make sure that you're eating up your stores so you're making space for the spring and summer garden so you have room on your shelves to put new things. So it's kind of a challenge to push you forward to making, using what you have, using all the food that you've spent all this time and energy putting up. So I want to talk briefly about the Three Rivers Challenge, and then I just kind of wanted to give some motivation, maybe some new ideas, maybe some inspiration about the meals that I make behind me. So Three Rivers Homestead, this challenge is something that you make your own rules for. So you can set the time, you can set the rules, you can set whatever you want. It's just a challenge, a way to challenge yourself. So the idea is you start at a month, and I believe it's Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead. I believe she does 3 months. But you can do any 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. You can do however long you want, but you set that time period in the beginning. And if you make it to that, let's say you start with a month, if you make it to that month point, you can always extend it further. But the idea is you eat from what you have and you don't go to the grocery store. Now that brings in rule number 2. You can make your own rules. So for me, whenever I do Three Rivers Homestead Challenge, I allow myself to buy dairy, such as milk and eggs, and I allow myself to buy cheese. And sour cream, the things that can produce on the homestead. So milk, eggs, butter, cheese, sour cream. I think that's basically it. And those are the things that I can buy. So what that means is if I have a recipe where I need ground beef and I don't have ground beef in the house, I don't use that recipe for ground beef. I use chicken or pork or turkey or something else that I have on hand. If you want to make spaghetti and you don't have spaghetti sauce, you don't make spaghetti. You maybe make Alfredo. So you make these rules and you really stick to them. The only other thing I sometimes allow myself to buy, and it's not every month, it's once in a blue moon, is I will allow myself to buy salad. I don't grow salad here in the wintertime, so I do need to buy salad greens, so I will allow myself to buy salad greens, but that's once in a blue moon. So when I did this the first time 3 years ago, it was the first and really honestly, truly the only time that I was able to actually participate in the challenge, and I'll explain that in a second. When I first did it, I loved it. So I started this challenge, and you had to be so much more creative. So you don't go out to dinner, you don't get takeout, you really rely on cooking every meal for this time period on your own homestead. So I was so creative and I loved it. So some of the top favorite meals I really loved was I wanted Chinese. One day, can't buy Chinese, you can't get takeout, so I made my own Chinese food. I made fried rice, I made dumplings, I did have frozen egg rolls in the fridge, so I just pulled one of them out, and I made noodles, and I made a chicken dish. So I made the entire Chinese buffet, which was first of all, so fun to make, and it was so fun pulling what I had from various places, from the freezer, from the pantry, from down here, to make this meal, and it was a full Chinese dinner. The other one that really stuck out for me was I had to go to a party and I needed to take a dessert, and I had my pie filling. I have peach and apple pie filling at all times. Oh, and I have blueberry pie filling. And I didn't want to make a pie. I didn't want to make a bread. I didn't want to make a cake. I didn't really want to make any of those traditional things. And I ended up kind of finding a recipe for a cream cheese Danish. So I made Danishes, and then I put my apple pie filling on top. So that was a great way. I made my own dough. I had cream cheese already on hand. I had my apple pie filling. So I took this ingredient that I never would have figured this out before and made these Danishes. And since then, these Danishes have been one of my go-to desserts for quite some time, because I love that I make almost everything, aside from the cream cheese, I make almost everything in these Danishes. And it's something different, you know. How many people are taking homemade Danishes to parties? So I think that was just such a fun new recipe that I found. So the first time I did it was about 3 years ago when I did this challenge, and I did it for, I believe, 8 weeks. 2 to 3 months is where somewhere in there, I think it was middle of March when I had to do my next grocery order. And it was just such a fun challenge. Now, and unfortunately, I don't really do it anymore, in the sense that I actually do the 3 Rivers Homestead Challenge all year long. So one part of me being self-sufficient is I really challenge myself, especially this year, to use up what I have. So I'm not allowing myself to go to the grocery store too often. I do go to the grocery store. I do have to pick up odds and ends here and there. But I really focus on eating what I have, what I've grown, what I've preserved. So a lot of my meals are honestly actually coming from what I already have here on the homestead. So I'm not having, number one, I'm not having to challenge myself because I have prepared and put away so much food that it's not really a challenge. I don't run out of ground beef. I don't run out of chicken. I don't run out of these things. I've put enough away for quite some time. That's number one. Number two is part of the garden is I want to make all of these different things, both freeze different things and then can different things. And my Canon encyclopedia has gotten so much bigger that it's really, I really have so many options down here. I can change up what I have and I can do different things. So basically what I'm trying to say is I have just really been challenging myself this year to really eat what I have. So if I have a recipe that needs, I just had a recipe that needed apple juice. And I said, I need to go to the store to get apple juice. I said, no, you're not doing it. Use something else. So I have applesauce. I use my applesauce. I had a recipe also that needed something else recently, and I forget what that one was. But again, I just substituted it for something I already have. So I've kind of been doing this for quite some time. And it's just, for me, it's kind of, I guess, like the year-long 3 Rivers Challenge to really just push myself to use what I have, focus on what I have in here, and you know, you don't want all this food to go to waste. I took all this time, spent all this time, energy, and money to buy these jars. I don't want these things to go to waste. So with that said, I want to show you the different meal ideas I have just in my pantry, and then we're going to talk about what I have in my freezer. But this is a challenge you. If you've never done this yet, do this. Maybe do one big grocery haul, stock up on the things that you think that you're going to need for the next 3 months, and then maybe make that it. Say, make those rules. Say you're allow yourself to buy milk and cheese, but then make those rules and set that time commitment and really do this challenge for yourself. I love this challenge, and I'm not gonna lie, I am disappointed that I don't actually get to do the full challenge anymore, just because even if I were to do it, I have so much here that if I were to challenge myself to not go to the grocery store, I could probably I could go for months. I could go for a very long time without going to the grocery store if I really needed to do it, which is the whole purpose of the homestead for me. Is I want to be self-sufficient, but I also want to be prepared. I want to make sure I have food on my shelves at all time. So to really do the homestead challenge at this point in my homesteading journey isn't really a challenge anymore. It's just how I live. So if you haven't done it, I highly recommend it. I really loved it. And I really loved the creativity that you had to have to say, I'm hungry for Indian food, but I'm not doing takeout, and make your own Indian food. And just everything that you want, figure out how to make it yourself. So without further ado, let me go back. I'm not going to do a whole pantry inventory with you. I did that on my last video. That's going to come out actually after this one. But I just want to kind of give some different ideas for the things that I have on hand and how I make these meals. And maybe that can help encourage you on some things you can make, but maybe some things that you could start planning for next year. Right now is the perfect time to start planning for the items you want to can next year. So you know what plants you need to plant and how many you need to plant, and you kind of want to start thinking about what you want to make so you know what you want to plant. So let me show you some of my favorite meals that come from my pantry. So I have a whole bunch of red sauces. Red sauces are super simple: spaghetti, meatballs and sauce. I actually don't like meatballs and sauce, but if you're not weird like me, meatballs and sauce, lasagna. There's a ton you can do with red sauce. Chicken parmesan. Red sauce is really that great staple that I think everybody has. Enchiladas. I do a lot of enchiladas. I also do an enchilada casserole, and that makes life super easy, super good. This is a spaghetti sauce I made last year that I actually don't like, so I'm actually turning this into a chili base, but this is something I'm going to do from here on out. I'm going to make a specific sauce specifically for chilies, and this is great to use as a red chili base, or I could also grind up some ground beef and add some ground beef into this and kind of make like a sloppy joe mix. So this is something that I can use for a couple different meals. We really want to look over here. This is more so my prepared food section. And I have some potatoes and some green beans. One of my favorite ways to use my canned potatoes and my canned green beans. One of my favorite ways to use my canned potatoes and my canned green beans is to combine them together in a cast iron with some French onion soup mix, that Lipton soup packet, and then saute them till they're crispy. I really love that. That goes really well together. You can also do some green bean casseroles, a green bean potato casserole with some cream of soup mix and some cheese. These also go really great in a crock pot, like to throw them in a crock pot with just a slab of meat, and then some sauces. You can do anything from like Italian dressing, the Olive Garden Italian dressing. You can do that French onion packet again. You can do a couple of different seasonings, kind of really whatever you are in the mood for. But I've done like a cheesy one with this, like a cheesy casserole with chicken or pork and potatoes and green beans. So potatoes and green beans are just such a great filler. They're great if you just need to add vegetables to something. Great in soups. They're really, I don't do a ton of canned green beans. I freeze a lot of my green beans. But I do some because they're just so easy in like crock-pot meals and in soups. Chicken pies, this again would be great for a chicken pie. I also like to do like hand pies. So you do a chicken pie and a hand pie. And these go really well with that too. I canned my sweet potatoes for the first time this year. And last year I canned hot dog chili. Now the hot dog chili, I love this on its own. I put it obviously on hot dogs. I put it on hamburgers. I put it on baked potatoes. Normally when I have like leftover chili, I put it on baked potatoes. You can put it on nachos. This hot dog chili is really versatile, but my favorite way to eat this I found is with sweet potatoes. So this is a very tangy, sweeter barbecue sauce kind of hot dog chili. And then you have just the sweet savoriness of a sweet potato. I think these two mesh really, really well. So I just open both these cans, pour them into a pot, and heat them up. And then I top this. So I do a layer of mashed potatoes or layer of sweet potatoes, a little bit of drizzle of hot dog chili, and then I top it with just a dollop of sour cream. And this has become the ultimate comfort food. So delicious. Just easy. This is a meal right here. So good. So I really love having hot dog chili on the shelf. Next, one of my things I have is coleslaw, and this is something I do a lot with. I use this coleslaw. I top shrimp tacos, fish tacos. You could even do like a chicken tropical taco with this coleslaw. Just like this out of the can. I just open it, top it. You can also add mayonnaise in here to make more of a creamy coleslaw. This again can go on tacos. It could be a great accompaniment to pulled pork. It could go, I like to do a pulled pork nacho sometimes. So I do like the chips, the pulled pork, and then put some creamy coleslaw on top with some other things, some cheese, jalapenos, and that makes a really good nacho. So this coleslaw is a great additive to my shelf, and it gives me that flexibility to have like the fresh vegetable without having to go to the grocery store. So I love having this on hand, especially when I want to have a fresh vegetable but I don't want to go to the grocery store. I can just open this up. This is a pickled coleslaw, so it's not going to be it's pickled but it's really good by itself. I made this last year and I have 4 jars left, so I need to go through these jars this winter. And you can see I didn't do good chopping my carrots. They're so big, so I definitely need to do better chopping these carrots next year. But this was a really good addition to my shelves. And again, it just I also put it in what do they call it, Chinese dumplings. I made like pot stickers with some sausage, homemade dough, and some coleslaw. I also 2 years ago when I first did this, I made a red cabbage pickled slaw. I have the last jar up in the fridge right now, and that also went really good in these pot stickers. So these go really good in pot stickers. It just gave it a little bit of acidity. It went really good. So these jars of coleslaw have a couple of different options that I can do with them that I'm really happy with. One thing I also like to do is, this is my pickled shelf. I'm giving some things away right now from the next video that you guys have to watch. But this is my pickled shelf. So I really love doing charcuterie boards. So I do homemade bread. I always have some cheeses on hand, and then I come down and I do some pickled things. So I do my beets. I'll do a thing of salsa. I'll get some pickles, and I just kind of like use this shelf to kind of make a really yummy charcuterie board. And I can pick some different things from other places, like my mustard, and my onion jam and my apple butter. Like, all these things go really good on cheese boards. But I do love to come down here and go through this shelf or go through this pantry to find some really good ideas for this cheese board, or for like a just like a charcuterie board, like a finger board. I love doing them. I think they are so good. They're great when you have parties and you have company, because you don't have to actually put things together. I can come grab pickles and red beets and onion jam and apple butter, and I think I have some jam and jelly down there. I can grab all these things, pair it with some homemade crackers, homemade bread, some cheese from the store, and you have a really great meal that's basically ready to go. Doesn't require a lot of fuss, doesn't require a lot of time for you in the kitchen, and it's just really filling and delicious, and it's so fun. People really do like to kind of like experiment and try this bread with this jam, or this bread with this cheese and this jam. So they like to experiment. So this makes it that's a really fun meal idea, and that's a great way to host dinner parties while you're still on this challenge. Again, just coming down and kind of doing like that fingerboard food idea. Sauerkraut, I have a couple of jars of sauerkraut. I actually only have 2 left. I do my sauerkraut, we do pork and sauerkraut for New Year's, so I already have my jars for New Year's upstairs. But sauerkraut is a great thing. Sauerkraut, mashed potatoes, and pulled pork. Delicious. Just combine them all together in one big bowl. Fantastic. Sauerkraut is great for Reubens. I also do, this is really great in pierogies. I made pierogies this year for the first time, and I actually put sauerkraut in the pierogies, and those are my favorite pierogies. It's just, mashed potatoes and sauerkraut go so well together, so it would of course make great sense in a pierogi. This is great with sausage. If you have a sausage, put it on top of a sausage, or put it on top of a hot dog. Sauerkraut is just a great side to a lot of meats. So if you don't know what kind of side you want to have, sauerkraut is a good start. So for me, hot dogs and sauerkraut, pulled pork and sauerkraut, pierogies and sauerkraut, great options. They also go really well, again, I think I said this already, but in that pot sticker. If you want to make a Chinese pot sticker, sauerkraut will go really well in that as well. Let's see. This year, for the first time, I canned my curry. Now, I did try the curry when I made it, but I haven't opened a jar yet. This is one of my upcoming meals. I'm going to open this jar and get this and really eat this. But a couple of things I do with my curry. So the main traditional way is obviously with rice, a meat, and some vegetables. So when I make it as a curry, I will do just white rice or brown rice, chicken, and I'll probably throw in broccoli and carrots. And I'll just do like a rice, curry, vegetables combination. But what I also like to do with curry is I like to make burritos. So I had leftover curry last time, and when I ended up doing it, I just turned it into a burrito. So I took one of my own tortillas, did a small layer of rice, a small layer of the curry mixture, which is the veggies, the meat, and the curry. Rolled it up. I did put chips inside too, like tortilla chips, to give it that little crunch. Thought it needed a little crunch. And I rolled that up and ate it like a burrito, and that was delicious. I did also put it in the skillet to get all crispy on the outside and warm it up. But that was delicious. That was a totally different way to eat a curry, and I really, really loved it. So I'm 100% excited to do that with this again, just to make a curry burrito. I also, a couple weeks ago, I made a burrito dip, which first of all was delicious. That used a lot of my canned items. But I'm interested to do a curry dip one time for like a party. So see how I can turn this into maybe just like put some pulled chicken, maybe some sour cream, and make this a dip. And if I could make this as a successful dip, which I fully think I can, that would be such a fun thing to take to a party. You know, people look at curry as being like a meal, and if you could turn it into a dip, wouldn't that be fun? And that'd be so unique. You know, no one else is going to take that. You know, that's kind of going to be an item that's a you item only. So I'm excited for the curry and the different ideas that I can do with this curry. And that's what I love about this challenge, is taking this traditional curry and changing it into different things and looking at different ways that you can prepare it and eat it, and ways that you can mash it up with other things. So I'm excited about the flexibility, the options that are going to come with this curry. Next, I have some salsa verde, and this has already become one of my favorite things. And I've decided, this is made with just green tomatoes, but I've decided next year I'm going to grow some tomatillas so I can make a traditional tomatilla, I think I'm saying that wrong, tomatillo, green salsa. So this is made, just like I said, with green tomatoes. It doesn't actually look too green, but this has become, this is like, I've used many of my jars already. I have 6 jars left. I think I started with 9. And these will be gone by summer. So first and foremost, this is my base when I make a white chicken chili. I open a jar of this, pour this in, and then I add in the rest of the ingredients for my white chicken chili. Perfect base. When I make enchiladas, sometimes I've been adding this into the meat. My enchiladas I always make normally, traditionally I make with ground beef. So by adding this into the ground beef, it just gives you that extra flavor. I still do it with my enchilada sauce. I still top with enchilada sauce, but just the meat mixture I'd like to add this salsa verde to. It just gives it that extra flavor. After Thanksgiving, I had some turkey left over and I made some turkey tacos, and I found that I love the turkey tacos with just some sour cream, a little bit of cheese, and a lot of salsa verde. That was the perfect thing. I didn't like the turkey tacos with my red salsa. Definitely need the salsa verde. So I'm keeping some of this. I have some frozen turkey in the freezer, or some turkey taco meat in the freezer. So at some point when I pull it out to have the turkey tacos, I'll be using the salsa verde. This is also if you want to make green enchiladas. So instead of using it in the meat, I could actually pour this on top of the enchiladas and have green enchiladas. So this, just a salsa verde, and also obviously can be eaten just as salsa. But this has such a lot of, or so many different things you can do with it. Like I said, I think I made 9 this year. I only have 6 left, and these are definitely going to disappear quickly. Just between white chicken chili and the turkey tacos and enchiladas. I make enchiladas fairly often. I make white chicken chili fairly often. That's one of my favorite soups. So this is not going to last long. This would also be good if I wanted to add it to my chili base. Put the two of these together when I make a red chili. That would probably work really well also. But I haven't tried that yet. But this offers up some flexibility. Let's see, what else do I have? This is just another meal idea that I always have on hand. This is tomato soup. I need to make more next year. I only have 2 more servings of this left. But this is tomato soup, and you can eat it as tomato soup, but how I prefer to eat it is as a roasted red pepper soup. So what I do is I take my tomato soup, I take a jar of my Italian diced tomatoes, I add pepper jack cheese, I add some Worcestershire sauce, I add a little bit of hot sauce and a block of cream cheese, and then you finish it off with a splash of milk, and you make this really just delicious, slightly spicy, but super creamy, wintry, delicious soup. So I know when I make a batch of soup, I do 2 quarts, so I have 4 quarts total, so I have 2 batches of this soup left. And this is a great, again, just another super quick, easy meal to have on hand. And I always go into winter knowing I have some of that soup ready to eat. Lastly, I have some butternut squash down on the bottom shelf. The butternut squash is great. I do a whole bunch of different things with it. I roast it and just eat it as a side. I roast it and make it into a butternut squash soup. I do butternut squash carbonara. I want to do a butternut squash. I have one of them reserved for a butternut squash ravioli. So there's a lot of options with butternut squash. So I have a whole bunch of these that I grew that I've cured that are just in the bottom of my pantry for whenever I want some butternut squash. And I love butternut squash. There's nothing better than a roasted butternut squash. And since I have all of these different vegetables already canned and cooked on the shelf, I could take my butternut squash, roast that, open up a jar of my Brussels sprouts or a jar of my green beans, and have 2 quick and easy sides ready to go. Fry up a piece of sausage with it, and you have a really simple meal. So having that on the shelf is just, again, another side, another meal option. It's just another option that you have many options. You can do a lot of different things with it. I think that is about it. One thing in the pantry that gets an honorable mention is my juice. I canned a lot of peach juice and I canned some strawberry juice and some tangerine juice this year. So I'm really excited for this. This I've been adding to, the initial plan was add to kombucha. I actually haven't made kombucha in a few months, but I'm still going to add this. I've been adding this to teas. When I make my fresh tea, just a pitcher of iced tea, add a jar of my peach juice to it, and it just gives you a different tea flavor. So I love that I did this year. I love that I canned this. This is delicious, and it gives you those different flavors or different things that you can do with this juice. I could also use it as a reduction. That's peach juice. I could use it as a reduction to add to meat. I could add it to sauces to give it some peach flavor. So having peach juice on the shelf just gives you a little bit of options. I also, on the other side of the pantry, have applesauce, fried peaches, and fried apples. They're really great. The fried peaches and the fried apples I love just as a side. For me, having them on the shelves, they are just a side. If I don't feel like cooking up one of these canned items or something from the freezer, I can just open up one of those jars. I just like to warm it up a little bit in the microwave or on the stove and then use that just as my side. So with chicken breast and fried apples is a perfect meal. So that's mainly what I'm doing with this pantry. I didn't mention all of the sauces I have. Like, I have some chili sauce and I have some of my mustards. I have meals with this. This I do with chicken and rice. I put it in deviled eggs. I put it in macaroni and cheese. I do a lot with this. My sweet chili sauce, I add all my Asian dishes. I do a lot with these things too, but they're in them of themselves not meals. So I really kind of wanted more to focus on how you could turn these things into meal items and really kind of focus your meals around some of these items. Up top, I also have some beans. So pinto beans, black beans, and kidney beans, and you can do a lot with them. Refried beans, I add when I want to make my white chicken chili. I grab a jar of salsa verde. I grab a jar of black pinto beans. I grab a jar. I have chicken broth, and then I'm getting actually ready to can up some turkey. I have turkey upstairs. I'm getting ready to cook, so I'm gonna can up that turkey. So I'm gonna be able to add that turkey to the shelf, which is gonna actually function more as I'm gonna use it interchangeably for chicken. So what's really great about that is I can open that can, I can add it to the white chicken chili. So if I'm making like that chili dish, I can just grab most of the ingredients for that chili from the pantry. I can use the canned turkey as a quick and easy like chicken salad. I can turn it into a really quick and easy chicken salad, turn it into pulled pork or pulled chicken, pulled turkey for nachos, put it on bread, put it on a baked potato. So really you have a lot of options, I think, when you have the canned meat on the shelf. So we're going to add canned turkey to these shelves in the next day or two. As soon as that turkey gets cooked, it's still frozen. My plan was to cook it today and it's still half frozen. So as soon as it gets cooked, that'll get added to the shelf, and that'll just be another thing that I can use to add to other things. Take that ground turkey, add it with some potatoes, some carrots, some green beans, and make a really quick chicken pie. Use my mustard in that too. My mustard probably go really good to make a different kind of southwestern pie or chicken pie, but it gives a lot of different ideas and options. You can take the turkey, add the enchilada sauce, make really quick enchiladas. The options are endless. So I'm really excited to get this turkey on the shelf. I've never had ground turkey or pulled turkey on the shelf. I've never really had meat on the shelf. The only meat I have is my hot dog chili. And I'm a little scared, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little scared about having canned meat, but I've heard some people talk about it, that they swear by it. So we're gonna give it a try, and I am excited about it. I'm excited to see how much I like it. So before we wrap this up, I did want to talk really briefly about the freezer. I do have a ton of stuff in the freezer. So in the freezer, I have all my meat. I'm not going to go over all the meat because everyone knows what I do with meat. But I want to talk about, I have broccoli and I have peppers. I have kale. And I also have some things like I have frozen zucchini patties and frozen jalapeno poppers and frozen crab cakes. I have a whole bunch of things in the freezer. So I just want to make mention of them. I do have frozen broccoli, and I've already made frozen broccoli into just roasted broccoli. I made it into broccoli chicken or broccoli cream soup, which was delicious. The peppers are really great. I just use them as a side. I can cook them up and they're a ready-made side, or I can add them into soups. I can add them into things like omelet and quiches. I made a great casserole the other week that I can add these peppers and onions into. My kale, I have frozen kale. I've been adding kale into a lot of different things. I made a delicious sausage pierogi and kale mix the other day. Just sliced up some sausage, or kielbasa technically, cooked that, Added pierogies to it, added kale to it, did like a creamy cheese mustard mixture that was delicious. That used my homemade pierogies and my homemade or homegrown kale. I have zucchini patties in there. I did go buy crab cakes. I have both mock crab cakes, and my grocery store makes really good crab cakes, so I did buy some crab cakes and I froze them, and I always put them on salads. I think they go really good on salads. I do like a crab cake salad. I did do this summer, I did freeze some strawberries and syrup, so I'm going to use them as like a strawberry shortcake meal, but you could also do it as like a strawberry pie or some strawberry dessert, but that's in my freezer ready to go. I have frozen green beans, I have frozen corn, and then I have the peppers, I have frozen snap peas still. I still have a couple frozen snap peas, which are I froze them last year. I wasn't sure how they were going to go. You do need to let them thaw completely before you cook them, and then dry them and then roast them, and they're decent. They're not as good as they would be if they were fresh, but they're definitely good. I will do that again. And then I think I said kale. So I have a ton of frozen vegetables outside, and so from that I can do a couple different types of soup. I do an Olive Garden Zuba Toscana soup, which uses my potatoes, my kale, my chicken broth, and then some sausage, some spices, homegrown spices, and some milk. You can do a cream of chicken soup, some chicken. I have corn. Again, throw the kale in there, throw potatoes in there. A roasted red pepper soup is really good with my pepper packets. Open a couple of them. Again, chicken broth, some pepper jack cheese, and some cream. Throw some other things in there. I haven't made that one yet. That's on the list to make with my pepper packets. But there's a lot of things to do just with those frozen vegetables out there, and I'm not even talking about the meat, but there's a ton of meat out there as well to add into these delicious meals. So hopefully this gave you a little bit of inspiration, maybe gave you some different meal ideas. I'm always looking for different meal ideas to do with my canned items and my frozen items. So I hope maybe you got some different ideas from this, and if you have any ideas based on either what's on your shelf or what's on my shelf for things I can do, please let me know. I'm always, like I said, I'm always looking for different ways to use what I have on my shelves. But I encourage you to try this homestead challenge. See, even if you don't can food, see how much you can just do with what you have in your house. And it really challenges you to cook from scratch, to learn new skills. I learn new skills every year that I do this. And like I said, I did air quotes because I kind of do it all year long, but I'm always learning new skills. And really challenge yourself. The other day the other month I needed tortillas, and I was like, I could just go to the grocery store and buy tortillas, or I can learn to make the tortillas myself, which is what I did. And now I don't think I honestly will ever buy tortillas again. Homemade tortillas are easy, and they're so much better than store-bought tortillas. So this really does challenge you to not only use the food that you have to make sure it's not going bad, that you are using all your hard work, but to learn new skills too, and to challenge you to learn how to kind of change things around. If you don't have one item, what can you use in replace of that item? So thank you guys for joining me. I hope this was inspirational, or at least gave you some different meal ideas. If you have any ideas for me, please leave them down below, or check out my Instagram and you can message me on Instagram. But thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.